The COVID vaccine rollout continues here in the United States as the country passes the grim milestone of 300,000 deaths. But just this morning, the FDA released a report detailing the effectiveness of the Moderna vaccine, the next likely candidate to receive emergency use authorization. Bloomberg Intelligence's Sam Fazeli joins us now from London. Sam, it's great to see you this morning. When can we expect authorization of this vaccine here in the U.S.?
Good morning. So if the FDA follows the same path as they did for the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, I would expect an approval before the end of the day on Friday, which is what exactly they did. I'm pretty sure they made it to the end of the day on Friday. So that would be the expectation. There are some differences, however, in the data that would be interesting to see what the panel thinks and what the FDA does with it afterwards.
What are those differences in the data?
So you do see pretty much similar efficacy when it comes to the younger population. It looks like it's got a slightly lower efficacy when it comes to the older population, but that may be differences in trial design. I mean, you can see that they seem to have a lot more cases of the disease in the Moderna trial as a percentage of the enrolled subjects than the Pfizer-BioNTech trial. So maybe there's something to do with that. It's hard to tell, and I'm not talking about massively lower, but a little lower. Side effects are a little more pronounced. The tolerability, you get more grade 3 fevers, etc., so more severe fevers. And then, so there are some differences. We'll see how the FDA deals with that.
Sam, so these are pretty similar vaccines as far as I understand. They both use technology called mRNA technology. They both require a shot and then a follow-up shot some period of time later, but they also don't. They both have to be stored in cold temperatures, but the Moderna vaccine doesn't have to be stored at as cold of a temperature, right?
Right. Yeah. So minus 20 versus minus 60.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah. It is. It is, especially that you can achieve minus 20 with a normal freezer. Minus 60, minus 70 requires other stuff like we've heard, dry ice, liquid nitrogen, that kind of stuff.
What are some other differences that I'm missing? Are these pretty similar?
Well, the doses are different. So Moderna delivers 3 times the amount of mRNA than Pfizer does. There are some slight differences in the way the chemical makeup of the carrier, the lipid nanoparticles are put together. So there are things that are different in there. Maybe that's why you're getting a slightly different tolerability rate.
We learned last week in the UK that there were severe reactions to some people who had reactions to other substances. These people, as Dr. Adalja told us last week, are the people who carry around EpiPens, those people who could be allergic to bee stings and peanut butter and nuts and the like. Do we see any of that with this vaccine?
Not that I've seen from the paperwork that I've just been reading, and I have to say it only just came out and I'm still sifting through it. I don't think I've seen any of that. We did see an imbalance that the FDA found in the Pfizer trial. I have to say I haven't looked yet, so it's not that it's not in the Moderna documents either, whether there was a slight imbalance in allergic reactions. So usually vaccines are, you have to think very hard about vaccinating people who have severe allergies, or make sure that they are observed and that you can look after them if they do have an allergic reaction.
All the more reason for people who don't have severe allergies to get vaccinated so they don't end up spreading those diseases to those who cannot get vaccinated. Where does this vaccine stand in the rest of the world? And I ask because we saw pretty much a week ahead of schedule, or a week ahead of the US when it came to the UK and administering the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Where does Moderna stand around the world?
Yeah, so given that they seem to be about a week behind Pfizer in terms of the regulatory process and the filing, I would say if the rumor is correct that the European Union, the EMA, European Medicines Agency, is going to be making a decision on the Pfizer vaccine on the 23rd of December, then one would expect Moderna to be about a week later, or given that they've had it for all the length of time and they're looking at the whole thing, possibly in the same time frame. But we're only talking about a few days difference.
And what about when it comes to the number of people here in the United States who could be vaccinated by the end of the year? How does access to Moderna's vaccine change that?
Yeah, I don't think it makes an enormous difference to that particular question. How many more people are you going to be able to inoculate before the end of the year? Maybe few hundred thousand more. I mean, of course, everybody who gets it is should be happy and celebrating. But I think it's more going to be about Q1 and the way that we ramp up in Q1. And the numbers do change a little bit depending on who you read and who you listen to. But the US another 100 million doses from Moderna. And I'm assuming they're working hard to get more from Pfizer. And then, of course, we got AstraZeneca coming, whose data would be coming in January, February. And that might be a lot easier to interpret than what we've already seen from the UK and Brazil trials.
All right, well, the sooner the better. Bloomberg Intelligence's Sam Fazeli in London. Sam, thanks as always for your time. It's good to see you this morning.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.